Well, Kevin, thank you very much, and welcome to the Palouse for this Pac-12 showdown. Washington State and Colorado here inside Martin Stadium for homecoming. Great to have you with us. Chilly conditions, precip in the area. We're just about set, ready to go. You're watching the Pac-12 on ESPN. Is presented by Dr. Pepper. Great weekend of college football already well underway with Lauren Sisler, Kelly Stopper. I am Roy Philpott. Fantastic that you could join us tonight. And here at Wazoo, it's always interesting this time of year. Mike Leach, year number 8, the Pirate himself, has the ship pointed in the right direction, Kelly. But it was an interesting start in 2019. As we take you back in time, Wazoo started 3-0, ranked as high as 19th in the country, before it all came crashing down against UCLA in the third quarter.
Yeah, and the storm continued to rage all the way to Utah. They lost another one there, and then the defensive coordinator, Tracy Claeys, resigns when they got back to the Palouse. And then in the final minutes against Arizona State, they lost another one. Mike Leach told us that he was very happy with the way his team played. Obviously, you want to win. There's a lot of heavy lifting left on the horizon for this Pirate in the Palouse, but it's about correcting the things on the defensive side of the ball. You know that Mike Leach's teams are going to score points. It's about what gets done on the defensive side from this point forward.
On the other side, Mel Tucker, year 1, coming off his most difficult loss as a head coach, 45-3 a week ago against the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, Mel Tucker told us this week that it was interesting the way he looked at that game. It's about the last 5 minutes and the first 5 minutes of the second half. And you can see right there, Colorado was well inside the 5-yard line. Would have been 17-10 at halftime. Instead, they turned the ball over late. They had some penalties, and then all heck broke loose as the second half started. You can see right there the 3 interceptions, 21 Oregon points off of those turnovers. And that has to be corrected today because it's going to be a tough matchup against Mike Leach. Score a bunch of points against the defense for Mel Tucker that's suffering.
38 and rain, and we had some snow in the area earlier. Buffaloes won the coin toss and will receive. As Katie Nixon and Deion Smith drift back to await this kick from Jack Crane. And as indicated moments ago, weather will be a factor this evening. Into the end zone for the touchback. And our first look at Steven Montez, fifth-year senior quarterback out of the Lone Star State in El Paso. His father, Alfred, played quarterback for Texas Tech and also had a cup of coffee with the Oakland Raiders. Kelly, he holds 37 school records for the Colorado Buffaloes, and he's hoping to set a few more before it's all said and done.
Steven Montez has pure arm talent. I believe he's a next level quarterback. He's gotten out of sorts a little bit. His playmakers have been dinged up. Laviska Shenault, Katie Nixon. When you don't have your weapons when you're playing that position, sometimes you tend to press, Roy, and that's what I saw last week against Oregon. Montez got out of his sweet spot a little bit. Get through your progressions, stay within the system, and good things will happen for him today.
Was a penalty flag on the kickoff. Going against Wazoo, offside, so they'll move it ahead to the 30. Montez out of the gun on first down. Inside handoff to Alex Fontenot. Bolts ahead across the 30. On first down. Brought down by Skylar Thomas as we take a look at our impact players.
Well, Roy, for Colorado offensively, Tony Brown really emerged when Shenault and Nixon were both dinged up. And then Skylar Thomas, he started at the nickel safety position, moved back to the high safety position, maybe more natural for him. Look for him to play well tonight.
And our second penalty flag, Buffs really struggled in that department in the loss in Eugene.
Offense, number 51, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Arlington Hambright, the starting left tackle, the guilty party. On second and long, looking for Shenault, incomplete. right through the midst, nearly picked off. Daniel Isom in coverage.
And that's where you begin to question the football a little bit in terms of how it comes out of the quarterback's hands. But Laviska Shenault told us yesterday he's healthier right now than he has been in a few weeks. And look for this young man to be targeted early to try to get him going. And Steven Montez needs that dearly in this game today.
Crowd on its feet on 3rd and long. Montez with time, flings it. Shenault has it. That'll move the chains. Needed 12, he'll gain 13. That one against Isom again, and this time Shenault wins.
And a really good job of Laviska Shenault finding the void in that quarters coverage. 4 high defenders, and then it's really a zone underneath as you have one outside vertical receiver, and then Shenault finds that void, and Montez finds Shenault.
It's a revamped Wazoo defense under Rock Bellantoni. After Clays resigned just about 2 weeks ago. Far side toss and a gain of 9 on first down. Willie Taylor with the stop along with Bryce Beekman. And that's the first reception for Tony Brown.
And Roy, I don't think that upheaval on the defensive side for Washington State can really be understated. Rock Bellantoni told us that it's about trying to get those guys to their right places on the defensive side. Play a lot more zone, get your eyes right, get your cleats in the ground, keep your eye on the football, and then just go make plays.
Handoff from the end around action. Tony Brown has the first down into plus territory. Stopped by Jahad Woods. That's a gain of 18 yards. Things really haven't been the same for Wazoo since that loss to UCLA, and in fact this is the next home game on the schedule since that setback, but 126 points in 139 minutes.
In that game specifically, it was 50 points in 19 minutes, giving up an enormous lead, and it created a mortal wound, and the defensive coordinator Tracy Clays resigned a game after that.
From the 39, Fontenot bottled up, sent down hard. Short gain on the play, Ron Stone the stop.
So what Rock Bellantoni is setting out to do is trying to get back to the basics. Clear the shelf a little bit and simplify things and allow young defenders on the defensive side to play more quickly.
Using tempo, Montez steps up. He does have some athleticism. He'll slide in safely after a short gain. It'll be 3rd down.
Colorado doesn't use tempo a lot, but it's kind of timely. Saw it against Oregon last week, and I think on a couple of nice drives, Colorado went up tempo a little bit because you have a lot of movement on the defensive side out of Washington State, just like out of Oregon. So what you do is go fast, snap the ball more quickly, and it cuts down on the defensive movement before the snap.
Facing a 5-man front, Buffs need 7. Quick toss. Brady Russell shoved out of bounds. He'll be short of the line to gain. Bryce Beekman made sure it'll be 4th down, and let's see what Mel Tucker elects to do on 4th.
I think hoping to just get points on the board. Remember, this was a Colorado team that got beat handily at Oregon last week, 45-3. So try to get points on the board, which a field goal in this type of weather is not exactly easy.
A 48-yard effort for James Stefano. He's 10 of 11 this season. His long of 44 yards. On the way, plenty of distance. And the Buffaloes unable to connect. Stefano comes up empty. And a big win for Wazoo's defense. Hooked it wide left. Still scoreless. Back in Pullman, 4 minutes in. Scoreless ball game in this Pac-12 showdown between the Cougs and the Colorado Buffaloes. Lauren Sisler, Kelly Stauffer, Roy Philpott on a chilly Saturday afternoon. Our first look at Anthony Gordon. Handoff inside, and that's a couple. Anthony Gordon, native of California, Pacifica, CA, as a matter of fact, just south of San Francisco. Didn't play football until his freshman year of high school. Went the junior college route, played at City College of San Francisco before ending up here at Wazoo. Backed up Luke Falk, Gardner Minshew for a couple of seasons before taking over here in 2019. And all he's done this year is lead the country in passing. Across the middle in traffic and looking for Bell. It's incomplete. There was some contact. No flag. Rakestraw came flying in at the last second. And Anthony Gordon, he's been a lot of fun for us to get to know this week, Kelly.
Yeah, and one of the things you and I have talked about incessantly is Anthony Gordon's release is, quite frankly, one of the prettiest, most mesmerizing releases of the football that I've seen in college football in a long, long while. So keep an eye on that today. Goes through his progressions really quickly also.
Free play on third down. Cross the middle, caught. That'll move the sticks. Roderick Fisher reels it in. Terrence Lang jumped off sides. That's a gain of 14.
Offside in the neutral zone at the snap. Number 54, defense. That penalty is declined. The result of the play, first down.
You mentioned the release and how mesmerizing it is as Borghi takes the handoff into plus territory. First big gain of the afternoon for Wazoo. And the Cougs in business after a gain of 18 more.
And Max Borghi is a great addition to the offense. There are a lot of people here in Pullman that believes he should be used more. That isn't exactly Mike Leach's style in this pure air raid offense, but Borghi is certainly an immense talent, and that run game probably can be used a little bit more here in this particular weather situation.
Play action, cross the middle. Winston has it, darts towards the end zone, makes a move. First down and goal for the Cougs.
You already get a sense of the tough matchup when Washington State sends 4 or 5 receivers out. One of them, Aesop Winston, on this play is the volume catcher. 9 touchdown passes on the year, and then it's the accurate pass, the quick release, adds up to yards after the catch, and you see a lot of that out of Washington State's offense.
Borghi in the backfield on first down and goal. Great start for Washington State here at home. Gordon looks towards the end zone across the middle and incomplete. Winston and Bell were trying to break open back there, nothing doing.
The thing that we have to keep an eye on today is the matchup in the secondary for CU. They lost a couple of corners early in Chris Miller and Blackman, and they have a freshman playing on one side. They lost a safety in Aaron Maddox, and so the question is, when you have to put 4 or 5 guys out there in coverage, who are they going to be at this point? You get young quickly.
Towards the end zone, wide open and incomplete. It was dropped on the quick turn by Winston.
And KJ Trujillo is one of the matchups. He's on Winston right here, and you're deep in the red zone and just simply giving up too much cushion right there. And Winston doesn't drop a lot of balls. The ball basically right on the top of his helmet and just doesn't look it in properly.
You wonder if they may try the same play call here on third and goal. Gordon looking the other direction. Borghi wide open. Borghi to the end zone for the touchdown. The air raid on display on that possession, as was Max Borghi.
Mike Leach will use the tar out of his running backs as receivers, much more than they actually carry the football in the run game. And Borghi catches the ball well. Christian McCaffrey-esque, come from the same part of Colorado, and Borghi is talented out of the backfield as a receiver.
Well, we expected a lot of points tonight. So far, so good. Maz's extra point is good. Borghi off to the races. And by the way, he's from Colorado, so you know he wants to play well tonight. Washington State leading Colorado 7-0. 8:42 remaining in our first quarter as we head down and check in with Lauren Sisler for the first time.
Hey guys, we know the weather conditions today, not ideal. 39 degrees, feels like 33 apparently, according to my app, and we saw snow earlier about 2 hours before kickoff, ice on the field. I talked to the equipment managers on both sides of the football though, and they said nothing has changed here. Nothing different with the cleats, nothing different with the gloves, and believe it or not, Steve Spurrier Jr. said on Monday he was out here running with his shirt off, sunscreen on, and well, now we're in quite a different climate here on Saturday.
The interesting thing's going to be to see how the feel of the ball is for both quarterbacks. Not only is it cold, but it can be wet, and we got to keep an eye on that today.
Crane crushes that one, 5 yards deep. Washington State is used to this kind of weather. Colorado is as well, but for Wazoo, we saw this about an hour before kick today. The team came running out of the tunnel, practicing mostly without shirts on in about 35 degrees, Kelly.
We were wondering what exactly the point is of that. They're playing a team from Colorado that sees that kind of weather once in a while. But it was fun to watch nonetheless. And I think the big thing is that the footing seems like it will be great here tonight. It's going to be how the ball feels to both quarterbacks that want to put the ball in the air.
It was about 2 hours before kick. The weather was actually a little colder then, the first down run. That's about 2 yards. Woods to stop. Colorado wants to run it tonight, Kelly, but it really hasn't been something they've been great at this season.
No, very inconsistent. They lost Kobe Purcell, their right guard, who was kind of their road grader in that run game. And he has been out, and their run game has been consistent. And their run game really sets the table for a play-action pass game. And so that run game needs to show up here today, because it's also a great way to defend Mike Leach's air raid offense by keeping him on the sideline.
8 in the box on 2nd and 8. They'll fake it to Fontenot. Montez with time, floats one across the middle, and it's picked off. Intercepted by Skylar Thomas. A costly mistake for Steven Montez. Thomas makes him pay. Wazoo in business once again.
We talked about Skylar Thomas actually started the season at nickel safety, and he played more around the line of scrimmage. They moved him back to what I think is his natural position as a high safety. Drops in a zone, reads the quarterback's eyes, and just breaks on the football. Steven Montez is responsible to see what is out in front of your receiver, and he did not do a very good job on that play.
Trying to spot Tony Brown. Thomas had it pegged from the snap.
Yeah, Tony Brown was coming on a deep crossing route, or over route they call it, and Skylar Thomas was watching Montez the entire time.
McIntosh and Borghi in the backfield for Wazoo. Gordon by a couple of seconds. Flag on the field. Lost it towards the end zone and out of bounds. Check the penalty in the area of holding.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. A lot of times when the quarterback leaves the pocket, that's what happens.
Holding. Offense, number 63. 10-yard penalty. Remains first down.
And Liam Ryan is that left tackle, and Anthony Gordon goes out the left side. So what happens is Ryan is expecting his quarterback to be in the pocket, and then when the quarterback begins to scramble, the angle of the defender changes, and the instinct for Ryan, an offensive lineman, is to just grab a hold of something.
A redo first down across the middle to get that penalty yardage back and a lot more. Arconato brings in the football, and that's a welcome sight for Coug fans as Brandon Arconato returns after a 2-game absence.
Washington State has 6 different receivers that have 21 catches or more coming into this game. You talk about balance. In Leach's mind, it's about how well do we distribute the football to multiple receivers.
After a gain of 14, Gordon flings it. End zone! Incomplete. Martin was breaking open for a moment. Delrick Abrams in coverage as we take a look at our impact players.
Impact for Washington State's offense. Aesop Winston, we've already seen him. He's more of the volume receiver, 9 touchdown passes on the year, or catches on the year. And Mikhail Onu is the veteran on the back end. He's a transfer from SMU. He needs to be the anchor in his secondary really that's full of inexperienced youngsters at this point in time, and this is needless to say, an excessively bad matchup against the air raid offense here this afternoon.
It's literally the top-ranked passing attack in the country against one of the worst defenses against the pass in the nation. Patman towards the end zone for the score. That was too easy for Washington State.
Really the cornerstone of the pure air raid that Mike Leach runs is basically, that was a simple slant route, but it's a slant route that's repped so much by the offense that the defense can't possibly be as experienced at defending those routes.
"26 yards in 3 plays in 55 seconds. The turnover forced by Skylar Thomas, the interception, and then moments later, Desmond Patman, his 5th touchdown of the season.
ESPN College Football is presented by Ice Cold Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
Always a great scene in a college town homecoming weekend here in Pullman with a pep rally and bonfire taking place yesterday, and you had athletes from several different programs trying to pump everybody up, getting ready for this important Pac-12 matchup against Colorado. Cougs have won the last 2 between these 2 schools. Colorado's last victory coming back in 2016. Now, don't forget, next week Saturday Night Football comes to you from Ann Arbor as Michigan will host the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Kickoff set for 7:30 Eastern on ABC. Also the ESPN app. 2 old rivals getting after each other once again. The first meeting way back in the 1800s. And a touchdown affair just a year ago as Notre Dame won 24-17. Important possession for Colorado. And a handoff to Jared Mangum. And he'll pick up 3 yards on first down. Down to Lauren.
I'll tell you what, there's no lack of energy from the defense here for Washington State, and that was a big thing they keyed in on this week in practice. They said they want to ante up, and you had Darcel McBath over here really juicing up the guys, telling them that was on them, getting the turnover, getting them to the end zone. Big play for them. This defense not letting up right now.
Katie Nixon on the screen. Bolts across the 30. It'll bring up 3rd down and short. Marcus Strong to stop.
And Roy, what Lauren was referring to, Rock Bellantoni and Darcel McBath are now co-interim defensive coordinators, and McBath is on the sideline, and he is that energy guy, and that's one thing that Mike Leach talked about, is the energy left the defensive side of the ball, and he feels they're getting it back as we speak.
Mangum in the backfield. Chenault, the Wildcat quarterback. He'll pick up a first down in a hard collision short of the 40.
And if Chenault is healthy enough, that would be a tremendous supplement to their run game, because we've already seen the success of Washington State's offense. So Colorado wants to run the football, but they haven't been as consistent as they need to be on the line of scrimmage offensively. So mix Laviska Chenault in there a little bit and change up that run game to some extent.
8 in the box. Mangum straight ahead. And pounded down after a gain of 2. Thomas and Willie Taylor combined to make the stop.
And you just get the feeling that Mel Tucker walked by the offensive play caller, Jay Johnson, and said, we need to keep the football on the ground for a while, because Mel Tucker understands that his secondary doesn't slightly match up well with what Washington State presents in that Mike Leach pass game.
Martin Stadium has been loud despite the inclement weather in the area. After a gain of 3, Montez off the back foot, flings it. Chenault has it. That'll move the sticks again in plus territory.
And that one was high a little bit to Chenault, and Chenault was open, but you talked about it. Steven Montez throws off his back foot. This ball, routine out route. The underneath coverage doesn't sink and get wide enough, and Chenault is open, but Chenault had to climb and get it. Steven Montez needs to get off that back foot and rip through the football a little bit better.
From the 49, a flea flicker. Montez gets it back. Breaking open is Nixon. Near side has it. Boy, was flirting with that sideline for a moment. They'll rule him out at the 20-yard line, and he toasted Willie Taylor.
That was a great read by Montez because Nixon was actually the second look. Chenault had gone to the post and taken two deep defenders with him, and Katie Nixon was on the wheel route, and that's the receiver that Steven Montez found.
Kelly, that's a gain of 29. Colorado in business, knocking on the door of the red zone. Mangum with an alley. Mangum keeps the play alive, and it should be first down and goal, Colorado.
And Colorado is just trying to manufacture some explosive plays early. Going to give the ball, and the receiver is going to toss it back to Steven Montez, and Katie Nixon is actually the secondary receiver on the wheel route. That's well done, because a lot of times when you have an explosive design play call, the quarterback gets locked in on the deep receiver and doesn't get to the secondary guy.
Out of the pistol, Montez fires a toss. Russell has it for a short gain. Well, a lot of mustard on that pass. It'll be second down and goal.
I really like what Colorado's doing on this drive. It's the run game that sets the table for what they want to do. Colorado's a much better play-action pass team than they are a drop-back pass team. So you have to run it, establish that, run it successfully, and then the play-action comes after that.
Chenault not on the field on second and goal. Considered to be one of the top receiver prospects in the country. Mangum will flank Montez. The fifth-year senior is flush. And Wise to simply fling that one out of bounds.
Yeah, it was late coming, but ultimately it was a wise decision. That's the very thing that he did not do against Oregon last week. Good matchups outside. Washington State did a really nice job of sticking to receivers, and then that clock has to go off. It's situational football. Right now as a quarterback, you're telling yourself, we have at least 3 on the board. I cannot make a mistake and put the football in harm's way down here.
Third down and goal. Chenault now in the slot. Looking towards Stanley, and that pass incomplete. Pressure coming. And a lot happening in that sequence. Iolupo Teabei tried to get back there and could not bring Montez down.
A lot happening, but what did not happen is Colorado ending up by taking the ball in the end zone. They were poor in the red zone last week against Oregon. You just saw it right there. Stanley was the motion receiver and out-leveraged the defense immediately, and it just was inaccurately thrown by Steven Montez.
24-yard field goal for Stefano. After missing from 48, this one splits the pipes. And Colorado on the scoreboard, 14-3. 2:15 remaining here in an active first quarter. And we mentioned CU coming off a tough road loss in Eugene. Really had a chance right before the end of the first half, making a one-possession game before the wheels came off. You see the final score. Those 4 turnovers, Kelly, all coming from Steven Montez, and those interceptions proving costly, plus red zone struggles.
You want to close your eyes if you're a little squeamish, because that's ghastly right there. The 4 interceptions, and Montez typically takes care of the football, but it's the red zone offense. 4 drives in there, and they have little to nothing to show for it. And then it was that last 5 minutes of the first half and the first 5 of the second half that all heck started to break loose. Colorado had an opportunity well inside the 5-yard line. First and goal from the +2, as a matter of fact. And they turned the ball over. Oregon goes down and gets a touchdown right before half, and then Katie barred the door. It was over with after that.
Stefano sends this one short and high. Fisher from the 19. And is quickly corralled and shoved out of bounds near the 26. So Jamar Montgomery credited with the stop. And Mel Tucker said it this week. Sometimes in order to get where we have to get, you have to go through it like this, meaning 45-3, and no one wants to do it. I don't want to do it. It's painful. It hurts. I'm sick about it. But sometimes that's actually what it takes. You got to face up to what's really going on and get it turned the way it needs to go. He's been there. He's done that. And he's orchestrated some impressive defensive turnarounds in the NFL, and also working with Nick Saban at Alabama, Kirby Smart at Georgia. So he understands what it takes. Borghi driven backwards. He's going to lose a couple of yards. Davion Taylor with authority that time, Kelly.
And Mel Tucker, I firmly believe, and we had him the opening game of the year, his first game as the head coach at this level. And you know that he's going to stay the course. And you also, as you talked about, Roy, he knows what's necessary. Rebuilding anything is not easy, especially a major college football program. And I believe CU has the right man for the job.
Empty backfield for Anthony Gordon on second down. Passes batted down. Back down to Lauren Sisler we go.
Yeah, guys, one thing I've learned about Mel Tucker is he's not going to sugarcoat anything. After that loss to Oregon this week, he acknowledged that he and his team are going through it, as you said before there, Roy. They've fallen on some hard times. Injuries, mistakes have cost them games. But that relentless mantra comes into play here. How do they respond, not just today, but the next 5 or 10 minutes? Because it all adds up at the end, and it can cost them the game or even a season.
Pass was batted down by Jamar Montgomery across the middle this time. Arconato has it. That'll move the sticks ahead to the 46-yard line. Mikhail Onu brought him down, but not before he extended the drive.
And where Washington State is exploiting is really in the middle of the field between the hashes, because that's where you get to the underbelly of the defensive injuries, because you lose a couple of corners and then you have to slide different people into your sub packages, and you have Taylor, number 20, once again chasing a receiver.
Fisher far side into CU territory. Quality pickup on first down.
Now, Davion Taylor is a good example of what CU is experiencing in the secondary. Really talented player, but he doesn't have a ton of experience. And so when you have a couple of injuries at corner, and you also have a safety that's gone in Aaron Maddox, Taylor has to take on more of a role, and in this game, that role is going to be exposed.
And off Borghi, first down Wazoo. Borghi stays alive, and there he goes. Crossing the 20, towards the end zone. Max Borghi, did he get there? Touchdown Wazoo!
Max Borghi grew up watching Christian McCaffrey, and there's an uncanny resemblance, not only personally, but the way that Max Borghi runs the ball. You see all of the yards after contact, horrific tackling coming out of the back end, and is his knee down before Borghi stretches across the goal line? I'm not so sure it was. That's a great effort. I think you're exactly right. I think it stands.
Mazza true on the extra point, and our new score 21-3. Washington State leading Colorado. Well, Kelly, you hit it. Max Borghi from Colorado, Pomona High School, was committed to the Buffaloes for quite some period of time. His father, Steve, was actually an immigrant from Italy, and his mother, Julie, cheered at Florida Atlantic, and for a long period of time, they really didn't know if he wanted to play football, and turned out he was really, really good at a pretty young age, and so he became a star down in Colorado, verbally committed to the Buffs. Mike McIntyre, the head coach at the time, really didn't stay on him in terms of the recruitment. He changed his mind in June of 2017 and said, you know what, Mike Leach wants me. I want to catch some passes. I want to run the football in the air raid. I'm going to Pullman, and he shocked a lot of people making that decision. And you know what? It's been interesting listening to Mel Tucker this week. He said, we can't let players like Max Borghi leave the state moving forward. And he's made the state of Colorado a priority as a result when it comes to recruiting. Impressive start for the Cougs here on homecoming. Nixon straight ahead, sent down at the 25. So Max Borghi made the announcement switching from CU to Wazoo back in June of 2017. He posted it on Twitter, said he wanted to further his academic and football career playing here in Pullman. Thank the CU coaching staff. No interviews at the time, and even the signature to boot, the autograph on social media.
That's a beautiful autograph, by the way. I guarantee he's been practicing that since about age 8.
An emerging star in the Pac-12. And his best football still well in front of him. Tony Brown dives ahead for a gain of 9, maybe 10 on first down.
And Roy, we got the sense coming into this game that for Colorado offensively, it was going to be kind of a matter of can you keep up? And we're already in that right now.
21-3 our score. 15 minutes in here in Pullman on homecoming. Max Borghi, a 47-yard scoring scamper, his second touchdown of the afternoon. All Cougs. Mel Tucker, Mike Leach, first met back at Pac-12 Media Days earlier in the summer. A couple of interesting conversations between those two. I mean, any conversation with the Pirate is always intriguing.
Goodness. No question about it. A thing to remember every time it happens.
Wazoo off and running with a 21-3 lead. You see the game summary. Max Borghi's been the story so far on offense for the Cougs. Chilly night in Pullman for homecoming. A flag on the field on first down for CU.
False start. Offense. Number 78. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
So, Roy, what's happening? This is the second time it's happened. Washington State moves before the snap on the defensive line. It's called stimming. Stimming is before the snap on the defensive line. Stunts are movement after the snap. And that stimming sometimes causes offensive linemen to jump as well. And that's what you saw out of William Sherman, the right tackle for CU on that play.
Fontenot has a first down and a lot more. Breaking out far side into plus territory. Alex Fontenot stepped out around the 48 for the first big run of the afternoon for the Buffs.
And this is the downside of moving your defensive line late, is you can move yourself right out of the hole, and Fontenot will make you pay for that. He's the big play, explosive, kind of home run potential guy that CU really needs to see impact this game today.
Fontenot's been good at breaking arm tackles this year, and he's had to do that often. Started every game for the Buffs. Flanking Montez on first down. Got to the edge. A stiff arm and a penalty flag. That could be a face mask as he's ushered out near the 44.
The question is, which side is it going to be on? It could be offensive or defensive face mask.
Personal foul. Face mask. Defense number 3. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
Daniel Isom.
Isom gets called for the face mask. It was a very violent stiff arm by Fontenot as he breaks outside right there. You can hit the face mask, you just can't grab it. And Isom returned the favor and actually grabbed the face mask of Alex Fontenot. But you can see the lack of discipline on the edge defensively right now for Washington State. Washington State has to have edge setters, and you could see the lack of it on that play.
Left guard move. Gary Cooch.
False start. Offense number 58. 5-yard penalty. First down.
And you saw right before that the defensive line stemmed according to the pre-snap movement by the offense. So Colorado offensive line-wise, they're a veteran bunch up there. They just have to keep their composure and understand. Obviously, they knew that coming into the game. That defensive line for Washington State aren't going to be setting targets.
Quick huddle for the Buffs. Fontenot has an alley. And inside the 30, he'll get that penalty yardage back, or most of it, ushered out by Bryce Beekman.
CU got a little bit of mileage out of that quick or sugar huddle against Oregon. Because Oregon, remember, they want to move. Oregon wants to move on the defensive line as well. Washington State's doing it. Quick huddle, try to minimize that defensive line movement.
Big win for the Ducks earlier today in Seattle. Montez under pressure, tries to escape, cannot do it, and brought down at the 35. Carson Block got there. That's a loss of 7.
And Block just got off early, and just a lack of understanding up front. He's going to come off the edge. Hambright slides inside and doesn't see Block coming off the edge. So you had 2-on-1 inside, and you had a free blitzer in Block off the edge. Not a very good understanding by Arlington Hambright, who is an experienced left tackle.
3rd down and long. Montez floats one. Dangerous pass and nearly picked off. Armani Marsh would probably tell us tomorrow afternoon he should have made the catch.
Yeah, Marty Marsh does a nice job of undercutting the route. CU's just running an out route, and Marsh reads it well and then essentially becomes the receiver. And Marsh is playing that nickel position, kind of a combination of linebacker and safety. And Bellantoni told us that it's that position that they still have to find, and maybe Marsh can be that guy for this Washington State crew.
Stefano from 52 yards out. The wind is at his back. Will it get there? It will not. Second miss of his first half for James Stefano. And Mel Tucker searching for answers. Colorado's been able to move the football effectively between the 30s. Field goal just short. 21-3. Back on college football prime time, presented by Dr. Pepper here in Pullman, Washington. The Cougs all over Colorado. This Pac-12 showdown. Anthony Gordon back on the field. Pass will be caught by Patman as we check in once again with Lauren.
Look, after that last touchdown drive, Max Borghi going in to make it 21-3. Leach came straight over to the bench with a very assertive demeanor. He said nothing counts from that last drive. You play the next play, routine play, period.
Mike Leach not really verbal yesterday during walkthrough, which is not unusual, but the start to this season so up and down and helter-skelter. The 3-0 beginning, top 20. Devastating quarter against UCLA, and the Cougs really haven't been the same since, despite a close loss on the road a week ago. Josh Allen, the stop of Deion McIntosh. Coach Leach told us something yesterday that was quite unusual. He said, for the first time in a decade, I was actually sick this morning. 3rd down coming up as Borghi motions out. Gordon across the middle. That'll move the chains. And a first down as Arconato makes his 3rd catch. The stop by Landman. We looked at Mike. We said, what are you talking about? You were sick. And he was like, I actually vomited this morning for the first time in a decade. And I said, what are we in, a Seinfeld episode right now? He said, you know, I haven't seen that one, but I'm a big fan of the show.
I guarantee you he's going to go home and watch that. He might have watched it last night after you mentioned it, by the way.
Wazoo in business on offense so far. Borghi on the inside give. Crashes down at the 49, almost to midfield. Terrence Lang with a stop. A decade's a long time to go between sicknesses. That's a good thing. I think he's feeling better today. That's the good news.
How do you know he's feeling better today?
Well, you could just tell.
Really?
His team's leading 21-3.
A little more brightness in his eyes. I mean, it looks exactly like he did yesterday when we saw him. Right with that left hand.
Borghi in the flats. Close to first down yardage. Max Borghi can do it all. That's a gain of 6.
Anthony Gordon does a great job of getting through his progression. Just keep an eye on his eyes. He starts way to his left, works all the way to the middle, and then back and bangs it out on time and accurately to Borghi. That's great stuff, and Mike Leach told us that yesterday. getting through the progression. It isn't just the release we're in love with, but the ability to read it all.
So on 3rd and short, Borghi's lassoed to the backfield by Taylor. He's going to lose a couple. It'll be 4th down.
Are you doubting for 1 second that the Pirate of the Palouse isn't going to roll the dice right here? It's not really rolling the dice for him. It's like part of his character to go for it in moments like this right here.
McIntosh checks in. No doubt he's going for it. He needs 2 yards to keep the drive alive. So after Borghi checks out with a helmet malfunction, Gordon flushed out to the right and will not get there. A big stop for the CU defense. Nate Landman, the tackling machine, ushered him out.
And Nate Landman essentially was mirroring the quarterback, and Mike Leach is wondering exactly what Anthony Gordon was reading. Well defended on the back end by CU, and then Nate Landman knows exactly how to sniff out a quarterback. He's smart. There's anticipation. He's learned how to make his play and not try to make up for everybody else. But watch 53. Right there, comes off the coverage and then becomes a run defender. And Anthony Gordon is not exactly swift of foot. He's subtle in the pocket. He's not outstanding running the ball outside of the pocket.
Landman had 14 tackles a week ago in the loss to Oregon. Big stop there. Colorado still with an opportunity. Montez. Fontenot incomplete. Boy, Montez fortunate just to get the football out of there.
Montez did a great job of climbing in the pocket and then eventually getting the ball to his outlet receiver, but he didn't do a very good job of throwing off platform. Your platform as a quarterback are your feet, and a lot of times in the congestion of the pocket, you have to throw off platform, not getting your feet set. Montez couldn't throw it accurately there.
Under center, handoff to Fontenot, the jump cut into plus territory. It'll be 3rd down and a long 2, maybe 3 coming up.
And I have a sense that this is 2-down territory for Mel Tucker and company. Run the football aggressively right here. Maybe some window dressing with your tight ends, and then do it again on 4th down if you need to.
Power formation, Nixon in motion. Fontenot gets the call. Straight ahead for the 1st down and a lot more. He'll plunge down near the 30. Jahad Woods brought him down to the cold turf.
And Roy, this is what I was referring to. Offensively, changed the picture. A lot of window dressing with the Washington State defense that's still trying to get their sea legs after the disarray that took place the last couple of weeks, and it worked right there. I think Colorado needs to stick to that run game.
Buffs have moved the football effectively between the 30s or the 20s even. Only 3 points to show for it. There was the interception thrown by Montez, a couple of missed field goals by Stefano.
And I think Colorado has an advantage up front. They have a veteran offensive line, guys that are nasty. They've taken a lot of snaps up front. Colorado likes a run game that they use a couple of different tight ends to add a run fit by moving those guys around pre-snap. Get a hat on a hat and possess the football.
Jaron Mangum, the new Colorado running back, the former 4-star prospect, has another 1st down for CU. And the Buffs again in the red zone. Justice Rogers pounded him down at the 18.
Roy, you just mentioned what Colorado's homework is. They have to get better in the red zone. They've driven the football. They've missed a couple of field goals. But the way you finish in the red zone, primarily this day and age, is run the football. And they've been inconsistent at doing that. Take the pressure off your quarterback, Montez, and start getting lathered up front like Colorado's done a great job on this drive of doing just that.
Laviska Shenault back on the field in the slot near the top of your screen. Montez looks his direction. One of the top receivers in the nation will gain a couple.
My experience has been sometimes play callers make the game too difficult. When something's working, don't try to fix it. And and that time you throw on first down for nothing, and your offensive line has one play of not feeling that fit again. And you see the drive chart right there. It's been a lot of missed opportunities. And we have Shenault taking the snap now.
Yeah, his forward progress was driven backwards. So it'll be 2nd and 10. And a run play the entire way. As Shenault brought down at the 15. Skylar Thomas with a forearm shimmy.
And I, trust me, don't mind giving Laviska Shenault the football any way you can. But that's actually how Laviska Shenault got hurt.
Well, that's what Jay Johnson told us yesterday as well. He's going to be our primary guy today.
Yeah. The progressions start through number 2 when he's healthy. And if you can't get him the football in the pass game, direct snap to him.
3rd and 7. More movement from the Wazoo front. Montez under duress. Couple of pump fakes. Dangerous throw. Back in the end zone. Picked off again. Intercepted. George Hicks for the touchback.
Result of the
First
play,
hit
touchback
of the season for Mr. Hicks.
There are a whole lot of Colorado Buffalo fans right now that are saying this is deja vu all over again. This is exactly what Colorado looked like against Oregon. Steven Montez has to realize situational football. We got 3. Don't put the football in harm's way as he does right here.
George Hicks, the interception moments ago, and it's really difficult to kind of ascertain what the route concept here is.
And that's the thing that Steven Montez is feeling, is I don't know that the route concept was well defined, but ultimately the quarterback has the ball in his hands. That's a horrific red zone decision. And it's exactly what Steven Montez was doing last week against Oregon, where he finished with 4 interceptions. Red zone decision making with Steven Montez has been really poor as of late.
Gordon back on the field, so is Max Borghi. And a hard hit short of the 30-yard line. Trujillo got there to bring him down. Montez, 6 picks now in his last 6 quarters.
And as a
2
quarterback, you press when things aren't going well. You press when you're not scoring points. And the more you press at that position more than any other in football, the worse it gets. And that's what's happening to Steven Montez currently. Trust me, I know it firsthand.
McIntosh motions out on 2nd and 2. A dangerous pass nearly picked off. Winston, the intended target. Landman in coverage that time.
Yeah, and Landman is doing a very good job of getting deep in the middle of the field from his middle linebacker position. At times it's Tampa 2 high safeties, and then that middle linebacker is taught to run with any threat down the middle. And if you don't have a threat, just continue to get depth, and you might get in harm's way like Landman did right there.
Chilly night on the Palouse. 3rd down and 2 for the Cougs. Borghi tripped up short of the 30 by Landman. Well, Nate Landman, an old school throwback player, leading tackler. He has been phenomenal in this game despite the deficit.
And this is what understanding and anticipation looks like. Landman is coming off the edge, doesn't respect the quarterback run, and just finds the football. And in week 1 when we were in there, the defensive coaching staff was talking about Nate Landman understands the game so holistically. Sometimes he forgets his job and tries to do other people's job. But right now, he's doing a great job of getting to the football.
Oscar Dragicevic sends a low line drive. Bounces out near the 33. Timeout on the field as we step aside here in Pullman.
And college football is presented by Ice Cold Dr. Pepper, the official drink of Fansville.
Now, the Cougar Cottage has been a fixture here in Pullman since 1932. The Coug focuses on the history of Washington State, Decorated in all things Cougar, the tables and walls are covered with signatures and sayings from students and alumni throughout the years. The great traditions here in Pullman. Handoff to Deion Smith. Net about 2 yards on first down for the Buffs, and Kelly, CU needs a touchdown on this possession.
I think you're exactly right. The Colorado defense held up to its end of the bargain by getting off the field that last drive. And Steven Montez just has to get back to playing the position well, getting through his progressions, not going off the rails in his decision making.
Bunch formation, top of your screen on second down. Looking for Nixon, and that one on the shoe tops. Montez just trying to refine that early season rhythm when he was actually much more on target.
I don't like the look in his eye, to be perfectly honest with you. He just doesn't seem confident like we were in there in week 1. He's not ripping it. That ball was dying by the time it got to the shoe top of Katie Nixon on the outside.
Buffs 3 of 7 on third down. Montez, heavy pressure. Keeps it alive and slings it out of bounds. Right up the gut, Woods and Powers.
I talked about not liking the look of Steven Montez currently, and this is part of the reason why. He's not getting great protection, and when he gets protection, he's not getting any receivers that create any separation down the field. And at the quarterback position, you begin to press because you feel it's like all up to you at this point, and it doesn't work that way at that position.
Kenny's punt, fair caught by Travell Harris. Wazoo with possession when we come back, and the Coug is rocking after another Max Borghi touchdown here in Pullman. This season, for every field goal, an extra point made by participating universities, Allstate will make a contribution to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Thank you once again, Allstates. Scoreless second quarter back in Pullman, 21-3. Wazoo leading Colorado in this Pac-12 clash. Good start for Anthony Gordon and Max Borghi. He scored 2 touchdowns today, 1 on the ground, another through the air, and a gain of 6 on first down.
Max Borghi just seems to be like the quintessential running back for the air raid under Mike Leach. He's a really good receiver, efficient, quick feet inside the tackle box when Mike Leach wants to run the football, which isn't often, but it needs to be productive by surprise when they do run it.
And they'll run it on second down. Borghi will pick up a first down. 7-yard gain, the stop by Nate Landman.
And it isn't that Washington State can't run the football. They're efficient up front. They get really favorable run looks inside the box that I think at times Mike Leach says, box be damned, we're throwing the football.
On first down, Gordon in the flat. Borghi, a little shake, a little bait, and a gain of 8. Well, a lot of times in the air raid as well, the swing passes and short passes kind of feel like runs, right?
It's the screen game. I mean, a lot of the tunnel screen and the now screen stuff, the quick screens outside, those were air raid inventions at the University of Kentucky.
Timer, please replay game clock to 1 minute and 58 seconds.
The godfather of the air raid,
Thank
Mike
you.
Leach, along with Hal Mumme from back in the day, right?
Iowa Wesleyan, Valdosta State, Kentucky, offensive coordinator at Oklahoma under Bob Stoops, and he started his head coaching career at Texas Tech. And then here he is, still doing the same stuff. The smallest play sheet in college football.
McIntosh running wide open on the wheel route and quickly covered up by Colorado linebacker Davion Taylor.
Yeah, one of the staple concepts is that wheel route. You typically have some type of in or curl route inside of it, and then the wheel outside. And that's what this is. It's concept driven. One word or one number tells everybody what their route is. And so it's simple. It's repeated so many times in practice. The most experienced group in this matchup is always Mike Leach's offense as opposed to the defense that trying to defend those simple concepts.
On third down, Gordon's pass reeled in by Harris into CU territory at the 48-yard line after a gain of 10.
And there's your run game, Roy. It's a high percentage screen outside, well blocked by two other wide receivers. And you get Harris the football and he plants and goes east-west in this case, and that's your run. Supplemented also by Max Borghi in the tackle box. So, Air Raid 101.
No doubt. From the 48-yard line, Gordon with all day to throw. Borghi's ready and waiting. And tough to bring down. They'll finally do it at the 39. That was Delrick Abrams.
This is the quality work we saw in practice yesterday, is throwing to the outlet receivers. Anthony Gordon was getting a lot of extended work on that, getting a lot of drop 8 rush 3 out of defenses currently. So Gordon has to be comfortable and patient to go underneath.
4-man front for the Buffs. Gordon again, plenty of time. Arconato has it into the red zone and brought down at the 15. Oh, what a great addition he has been after a gain of 25. His 4th catch there.
Arconato is going to end up being the inside receiver running an in route off of that trips. How do you defend that when Anthony Gordon has such a quick release? He's accurate. He gets through his progression on time, and it's that quick release that gives the receivers at Washington State that extra half step to get yards after the catch.
Tay Martin in his 6'3" frame, bottom of the screen. Instead, they'll go the other way. Tunnel screen. And twisting and turning is Harris inside the 5. How about the fight for the 5'9", 180-pound sophomore?
But once again, watch the quick release and the accurate
State, they're
throw.
first to the half. 30-second timeout.
And then you get the yards after catch. I mean, it's a beauty to behold when it's working well and you have a quarterback like Anthony Gordon. And I talked to Mike Leach about that. I mean, it's just unbelievable the way this kid releases the football.
Well, don't forget, coming up next week, Saturday Night Football comes to you live from Ann Arbor, Michigan. The Wolverines and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. What a rivalry. What a contest. Kickoff set for 7:30 Eastern on ABC. Also, the ESPN app. And if a little Jim Harbaugh is good, more is better. You get him back-to-back weeks in big games. And by the way, he needs a big win or two real quick, from what I hear.
Real quick. He needs wins against the right teams real quick.
And a big one tonight over on ABC against the Nittany Lions in Happy Valley. What a scene that was. Towards the end zone and incomplete, looking for Tay Martin. Well covered. Pass had a lot of mustard on it that time.
KJ Trujillo, one of those young, true freshman corners, was matched up that time on Martin, and Martin should have caught that ball. And that's where you see the experience at running the route versus the inexperience at covering the route. It's a basic concept. It's a slant route, cross the defender's face, and an accurate throw, and Martin just didn't finish.
23 seconds remaining in our first half. Wazoo still with a couple of timeouts to work with. Gordon again, all day to throw. Back to the end zone and incomplete. Patman broke open for a moment. Couldn't reel it in. Onu and Abrams back there in coverage.
And the lack of pressure, because Colorado's trying to create a lot of clutter in the end zone to condense those pass lanes. And I think this ball was tipped right at the very end and redirected a little bit. And that's why Patman had a little hard time corralling that football in the air.
He's got man coverage top of your screen, 12 in crimson and gray. And a 6'4" frame to work with. Backside pressure for Gordon, sensing that, floats it. It was caught but out of bounds by Harris. A lot happening there near the sideline, Kelly.
Well, Max Borghi may have actually tipped this, and then Harris almost not only caught the ball, but potentially came down with it.
50 is now checking into the game.
I don't think initially this was to Harris. and certainly ended up out of bounds. But I think that was an important sequence for Colorado in this game this evening. Good defensively, but to keep Washington State out of the end zone, I think, was critical.
Blake Bass has been perfect this season. A 20-yard effort from the right hash, and the chip shot is good. First points of the second quarter. Now a 21-point advantage for the Cougs here on homecoming. Well, make sure you kick off your NFL Sunday on ESPN starting tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern. Sunday NFL Countdown. Peyton Manning gets a showboating lesson from primetime. That's Deion Sanders, and Randy Moss will rank the best catches from college football this weekend. And on the Monday night, over on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app, Patriots and the Jets from MetLife Stadium for Monday Night Football. Coverage, of course, starts once again with Monday Night Countdown at 6 p.m. Eastern. And this graphic right here,
that's insane,
is exactly that.
Yeah. Who would have thought those two would have been a match made in heaven? But that's what football in heaven looks like right there. I mean, seriously. And I've seen it up close and in person, NFL radio with ESPN, and watching that is mesmerizing, to say the least. And the precision out of Tom Brady, even at this age, is spectacular.
Ensuing kickoff fielded at the 20 by Deion Smith. So Colorado, just a couple of seconds to work with, will go into halftime trailing by 3 scores.
Remember that 10-minute football that Mel Tucker talked to us about. The last 5 minutes of the first half, the first 5 minutes of the second half. I think Colorado's well on their way of losing that 10-minute battle once again, like they did against Colorado a week ago.
Good start for Anthony Gordon, a not so good start for Steven Montez.
Missed field goal, interception, missed field goal, interception, and then the half ends.
That's the end of the first half.
After the kneel down by Montez, 24-3 will be our halftime score. The Cougs set to receive the second half kickoff. Good start for Anthony Gordon, nearly 200 yards through the air, a touchdown toss to Max Borghi, who also has another touchdown run as well. Send you back to the studio for the halftime report right after this. Here in Pullman, Washington, you're watching the Pac-12 on ESPN. And tonight's game is presented by Dr. Pepper. It is a homecoming tilt this evening inside Martin Stadium, in Washington State leading Colorado 24-3 as we get things underway for the start of our third quarter. Lauren Sisler, Kelly Stauffer, Roy Philpott. Wazoo has been impressive on both sides, on offense, on defense. Max Borghi has really done a great job as well at running back.
Yeah, what a weapon he is. We know that Mike Leach wants to throw the football. Anthony Gordon has an incredible release, but Max Borghi as a weapon in the pass game, you can see right here, just simply releasing to the outside, and Mike Leach knows how to use running backs in that pass game, and then the quick feed up the middle. The run game is something that I think Mike Leach can get more mileage out of, and as Max Borghi kind of shows what he can do, we'd expect more than that. Steven Montez simply has to make better decisions. Doesn't see the defender out in front of him, out in front of his receiver, and then red zone decision making. There were some opportunities in the final 5 minutes of that first half for Colorado to do a lot better in terms of getting points on the board, and they just simply didn't do it.
Take a look at the game summary. Borghi almost 120 total yards, those couple of touchdowns. And Steven Montez has to find his groove at some point in this second half. And if you're a fan of the Buffs, preferably sooner rather than later. Got off to a great start in his final season in Boulder. Engineered the early upset against Nebraska. Went against CSU, a big rival. Last 6 quarters, he's thrown 6 interceptions. A couple of tip balls, a loss at Oregon last weekend. That has not been the case here tonight. Down to Lauren.
Yeah, despite being up 24-3 at the halftime, Mike Leach unhappy that his team did not score 7 points there going into the half. He said, you got to forget about the first half of this football game. You got to look ahead to the next play, next man up mentality. That's for the offense and defense. So again, he was very short on his words. He just wants to see this team continue to perform better and bring the energy.
And it sounds like coach speak, but at the same time, consider what happened against UCLA in their last home game.
That's a great point. No question. That's a great point.
Gordon on first down. Will send it out Borghi's direction. Makes a nifty move and picks up 12 for another first down for the Cougs. Mustafa Johnson back in action for the first time in 4 games with a tackle.
And it's not by accident that we're seeing more of Matt Borghi in this game. I think it's a really good matchup for Washington State. I think there are some issues at that second level and in the secondary, and so you can get a running back matched up on those guys, either a nickel defensive back or a linebacker.
Anthony Gordon waited for his time behind Gardner Minshew as Arconado dropped it in traffic. Nobody knew about Anthony Gordon, what he brought to the table before this season. Good throw here, and Arconado just kind of lost track of it.
Yeah, there was some traffic, but the quick release of Gordon allows the ball to get through to Arconado, and there was certainly an opportunity to catch that football. It would have been a tough catch because of all of the things flashing in front of the receiver, but nonetheless, Arconado should have come down with that football.
Here's a blitz off the edge. Cougs pick it up, and a dump off on second down will make it 3rd and about 2.
Crossing routes galore in the air raid offense under Mike Leach. We know that. Mesh routes, shallow crosses, and it's just another way to give essentially an outlet target to Gordon. And Gordon is really good at throwing those type of routes.
6-man front for the Buffs. Pressure. Landman couldn't get there. And a little toss. Dangerous at that. Bell somehow brings it in near the 45. Heavy pressure from Nate Landman.
And that's already an adjustment you can tell Colorado has made. They're going to try to get after Gordon by bringing extra people. Gordon does a nice job of avoiding the first defender, and maybe not the greatest of decisions to toss that ball forward, but a pretty athletic play nonetheless.
So Oscar Dragicevic back on the field. Dimitri Stanley set to receive the punt. And he'll do it off the bounce. Buffs need a big play from somebody at some point in time. 4 flags on the field on a hard collision at the 20. And that may have been a blindside block in the worst way.
That's exactly what it's going to be. That's an emphasis this year. The player that's going to get hit has to be able to see the hit coming, or it's going to be an automatic flag. And this was a brutal blindside hit. These are exactly the type of plays that this new enforcement is trying to get rid of.
Marcus Strong, injured player for Wazoo. I think it was Chase Newman that came flying in at the last second.
Personal foul. Illegal blindside block. Defense number 46. With targeting. Half the distance to the goal. First down. The play is under further review.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, is with targeting. It certainly doesn't have to be with targeting, but this one is, and it was a violent one.
Timeout on the field as we step aside. Welcome back to Pullman, where targeting has just been confirmed on Chase Newman. Forcible contact, a launch, the head or neck area, and all of that was confirmed. So Newman has been ejected after the blindside block with targeting, Kelly.
Yeah, and by definition, the Washington State player is defenseless. So if there's now contact, forcible contact above the shoulders in the head and neck area, it's going to be not only a penalty for the blindside hit, but it's also going to be targeting and well officiated on the field.
Gary McNana, our replay official this evening. Buffs trail it by 3 touchdowns. Fontenot right up the middle picks up a first down and a gain of 15 yards.
And I think that's exactly what Colorado has to do in the second half, Roy. Even though they're down, you can still run the football, especially in the first 5 minutes of this second half, which Mel Tucker is focused on. Part of that 10-minute football game that he talked about. They lost the last 5 minutes of the first half. They need to win this 5 minutes here.
And the rush lanes were there in our first 2 quarters.
Right. I totally agree. You have to stick with the run game, especially early in this quarter.
Buffs already with a $124 on the ground. They'll add to that ledger here as Fontenot's bottled up and sent down, back down to Lauren.
Yeah, I talked to Mel after the half. He said we've got to take care of the football. He's happy with the way this team is moving the ball, over 100 rushing yards. Everybody has to do their job, and of course sensing some frustration from Steven Montez there in the first half. He spoke with him in the locker room. He told him, you've got to stay positive, rely on your teammates, and do not look at the scoreboard.
Carson Block, an injured Coug, being tended to as we step aside here in Pullman. Well, back in Pullman, Washington, and Kelly, we probably haven't talked about it enough, but Washington State defensively in a big state of transition after the resignation of Tracy Claeys back on October 4th, the defensive play caller for a couple of seasons here, taking over for Alex Grinch. How about the job done so far in this one? Colorado just 3 points on the board by interim defensive coordinator Rob Bellantoni and also Darcel McBath. 1 up top, 1 down below. They're getting it done. And movement up front. We'll see who jumped first.
False start. Offense number 68. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Yeah, Roy, you're exactly right. There was obviously some dysfunction on the defensive side. I think that issue at UCLA, there was a meltdown. You go into the Utah game, it extended. Gave up a ton of points in a short amount of time, and now it's about trying to get players in the right position. Bellantoni and McBath are charged with doing that currently.
Montez to Russell, his trusted tight end, and he rumbles his way close to a first down. Woods wrestled to the turf here in Pullman.
And Colorado's going a little bit of up-tempo as they get this drive underway.
Inside handoff, Fontenot with a lane and a lot of real estate. Sent out near the 40.
And I think this is Jay Johnson's wheelhouse, the offensive coordinator at Colorado. I think it's a run game. I think it's intermittent, up-tempo. When you can get an advantage, you get a rhythm of a drive going. You can take advantage of that a little bit. You minimize the defensive movement by going faster as an offense, which Colorado's doing currently.
Fontenot now over the century mark. That was a gain of 25. Montez wants it all. Breaking open in the end zone is Chenault, and he can't reel it in.
And Chenault gets over the top of George Hicks, number 18, and Steven Montez just flat misses it. And you see the stutter go outside. Chenault gets over the top, and the ball was slightly further outside than I think it could have been, but it was long anyway. Once again, a big missed opportunity, Roy. That's the type of explosive play that's been missing in this offense.
And those were the plays that those two were making at the halfway point of last season as Colorado jumped out to a 5-0 start. They'll set up the screen. Maurice Bell is brought down behind the line. That's a loss of 2, and Marcus Strong appears to be healthy on that play.
Well, and Roy, when you throw on first down and you don't get it, you're behind the sticks. And so now here we are at 3rd and long once again. These have been drive killers for Colorado.
3rd and 12. How many times have we talked about CU drives tonight? Couple of first downs, and then it bogs down. Exactly,
a lot, especially down in the red zone. This might be an early 2-down territory.
And out of the gun, Montez sensing pressure, and the pass short of the line to gain. Did they call it complete? It'll be 4th down one way or another. Jalen Jackson, the intended target, and he did, in fact, drop it.
Nice patient throw by Montez, and receiver just didn't look the ball in. No question about that. If that would have come up short, that certainly, I think, was a time when Mel Tucker would have gone for it to try to keep this energy that this offense had on this drive. Missed opportunity once again. The overthrow on Chenault by Montez, and then the drop ball right there.
Timeout. Washington State. Their first of the half.
Cougs will call a timeout here.
This is a 30-second timeout.
Getting set to receive the football deep in their own territory again.
This is a media timeout.
So 10-11 remaining here in our third quarter. Cougs lead it by 3 touchdowns. Well, a week from now, Saturday Night Football comes to you from Ann Arbor, Michigan. The Wolverines and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame tangle once again. 2 old rivals, 7:30 Eastern on ABC and also the ESPN app. And Ann Arbor type weather here in Pullman tonight as the Buffs punt it away on 4th and long. Harris makes, or tries to make, the fair catch. Kind of tricked everybody there as it went a couple of yards right over his head. So 10 minutes remaining here in the third. And a look at our AT&T college football rankings. Big surprise today, Illinois toppling Wisconsin. We all saw that one coming, right?
I was all over that one. Yeah, that's amazing. Wisconsin essentially wasn't allowing anything defensively, running the football with Taylor off the end of the earth, and Illinois goes in there, and I just can't explain it. The love of college football comes from things like that.
Well, Clemson got off to a slow start today before picking things up in the second half as Martin is hit quickly on the screen by Davion Taylor.
Yeah, in the meantime, I really feel like Colorado defensively has kind of settled in a little bit. Off to a rough start. Washington State was marching right up and down the field. And midway through that second quarter, I felt defensively Colorado settled in. And offensively, they're just not getting any help from Steven Montez and company.
If you're just tuning in, it was 21-3 after the first quarter. Since then, both defenses have settled down. Harris, a nifty move, brought down at the 16. It'll be 3rd down for the Cougs. That was Carson Wells with a tackle.
And it was Mark Perry, a safety, on that first missed tackle, and he's one of the 3 freshmen, true freshmen, that have been playing on the back end for Colorado, and that's the growing pains that Colorado has to suffer currently as Mel Tucker rebuilds this program. But there isn't any shortcut to getting guys experience other than what we're seeing right now.
Wazoo 6 of 10 on 3rd down so far. And a timeout called by the Buffs.
Timeout Colorado. Their first of the half. This is the 32nd timeout.
And now for our Fansville College football update, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. Another big game for Jalen Hurts. I tell you what, it's either Hurts or Joe Burrow for the Heisman right now. We mentioned the upset. You see Burrow's numbers in the big win against Mississippi State. That one coming on the road. And then the big news in the Pac-12 so far today, Oregon on the road in Seattle beating UW. And the Ducks appear to be turning the corner after that early loss to Auburn.
Yeah, playing quality defense under Mark Cristobal. And you mentioned the Heisman candidates. How about Tua Tagovailoa? Is he not in that mix? He's my #1 dude right now.
Well, the numbers are there, but Joe Burrow has 2 of the most impressive wins of the season so far. And one of those came on the road in Austin against Texas. You back that up with a victory over Florida. The ball pops out here on 3rd down. And the Buffs again force a 3 and out. Valencia, the left guard, caught that one in midair to prevent the turnover, Kelly.
Yeah, this actually may be a reception by Valencia. And Anthony Gordon was trying to get out of the congestion and was a little loose with the ball security in the pocket, but the big boy, 6'6", 300, the biggest receiver in college football right there, Valencia. Was it a fumble recovery or a pass reception?
I think that's a reception for the big man. That's what he
give it
wants.
to him.
Yeah, I think so. Dragicevic pounds that one into Colorado territory. Now coming up tomorrow, TJ returns to the set with Boomer on NFL Primetime, 7:30 Eastern, only on ESPN Plus. Highlights and breakdowns from the day's games. To get ESPN Plus, download the app or go to ESPNplus.com. Coming off the surgery, just missed 2 weeks. Very impressive. I'm going to tell you this too. I think Joe Burrow right now is leading the Heisman race, just in front of Jalen Hurts. And I think LSU, if the committee had a vote today, LSU would be the top-ranked team in the land. Nixon on the screen into Wazoo territory. I've got LSU #1 right now. What are your thoughts?
I don't mind LSU in the top 4. I don't have them as #1. I still like Alabama. What have you done to disqualify them from being up there? Ohio State is playing lights out. Haven't even hit a road bump yet. I have LSU. What difference does it make where they are currently as long as they're in that Final Four?
No, I agree. As Mangum plunges ahead, that'll be a first down. It's really not disqualifying Alabama. It's LSU based off who they've beaten.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I wouldn't argue with LSU being up there, but I do argue with the fact that you don't put Tua Tagovailoa in the top. Or you have him in the top 5 of your Heisman? What's going on there?
He's in there. I'm just giving you my top 2.
You're only 2 off.
Buffs on the move from the 37. Tony Brown. And nothing doing on that play. A short pickup.
Yeah, and a short pickup on first down. Even though it was a first down run, the fly sweep motion, handing it to Tony Brown. This is where Colorado's offensive series have imploded in this game. And recently is when they're not successful on first down, they have a hard time overcoming being behind the sticks.
Cook showing pressure. They'll back out of it. Montez across the middle, incomplete, and Stanley got 1 mid on it. Couldn't bring it in.
Great read by Montez, bad throw. Stanley leaked into that middle of the field. That void in the zone. Play action pass, probably more than it was an RPO. You can tell that by the offensive line was pass blocking from the get-go. And the thing that I see with Montez currently is a lack of confidence in where he's throwing the football for some reason. He's not transitioning from his back foot and ripping the football, and therefore he's leaving multiple throws high. We've seen it tonight.
Mangum goes out. Open is Shenault. Makes a move, and there he goes. Laviska Shenault. Lasso from behind, short of the 10-yard line. That'll move the chains. It's a gain of 24 yards, and here comes Tempo from just outside the 10. Mangum.
And I would get Tempo again, get up to the line of scrimmage and run it. Run it with a little bit more pre-snap relocation by tight ends. And now there are 2 tight ends on the field, and Bisharat and Russell relocate and run the football once again.
The Buffs can punch it in here. This becomes a brand new ball game. Power formation. Brown motions out. Mangum straight ahead. And stacked up short of the 5. Colorado can pick up a first down just across the 1. And Jahad Wood slow to get up. You know, Woods, preseason all Pac-12 performer.
Yeah, this would be big for Washington State defensively. They've had some injuries, relocated some players, moved them around a bit with the defensive shakeup, but Woods is that volume tackler. He's always around the football. 58 tackles coming into this game. can't afford to lose him.
Cougs have won the last 2 against Colorado. As we take a look at the Pac-12 standings, both teams right now trying to fight, scratch, and claw their way out of the cellar. Colorado already a league victory, that one coming early on.
And Oregon, you mentioned it earlier, Roy, they look different to me. I mean, they have an NFL quarterback, but they're playing defense in a way that I think this conference is going to more and more become known for. I think you're seeing it in Oregon, you're seeing it at Cal, you're already seeing it at Utah. I think you're going to see it at Colorado under Mel Tucker. I think the defensive landscape in this conference is changing.
And it starts with coaching as Woods walks off under his own power. If you're Colorado offensive play caller Jay Johnson, what are you trying to dial up here?
Yeah, right here, I think you can run it once again, potentially, but you can also isolate the best player on the field, Viska, by just snapping him the football.
Don't overthink it. Straight ahead. Shenault to the end zone for the touchdown.
This game is not that complicated. Don't overthink it. Sometimes it's simply a keen grasp of the obvious. Who's our best player, and in what way can we get him the football? Let's snap the football to him deep in the red zone and let him see what he can get done. And he gets done what Colorado hasn't done enough of recently, is get the ball in the end zone.
Laviska Shenault told us yesterday he's close to 100%. He felt like the big play opportunities would be here against this Wazoo defense. From 6 yards out, he comes through for his team.
And the Wildcat kind of has gone away to somewhat the run-pass option this day and age. But when you have an athlete like Laviska, who also understands the run games, run lanes, he's an efficient runner with the football. Not only he catches it in a pass yards after catch, but in the direct snap variety, which we just saw. And the run game, to me, I'm telling you, Colorado can get back in this thing. In fact, they just did by running the football.
So Laviska Shenault comes up with 2 big plays on that scoring drive. Colorado started things off on the ground where they've had success. Buffs have run it for 173 yards tonight, Kelly. And they're back in this ball game, trailing now by just 2 touchdowns. Harris. Spun around and brought down back at the 16. Let's take a look back with our viewing drive recap. Jaron Mangum, the talented freshman, the former 4-star running back, got things started before Viska took over.
Mangum, the true freshman, running the football, and the key is running the football and then find my playmaker out in space. Shenault gets it and knows what to do with it. And then let's snap him the football and let him finish. And finish is what was desperately needed by Colorado offensively.
He's been battling a core injury that limited his production the last couple of weeks. Max Borghi gets the handoff on first down. And the Cougs need to operate with a sense of urgency here. He'll gain 6 yards as Changum brought him down.
Well, I think Colorado's willingness and desire, success at running the football bodes well now. The weather is deteriorating. It may be, the football may become harder to handle, maybe harder to throw. And so I think this is trending the right direction if you're Colorado.
Quick toss from Anthony Gordon is caught. That'll move the chains back down to Lauren.
Look, you'll find Anthony Gordon is not always the most vocal guy on this football team, but last week he really challenged himself to be more of that guy. He just came over to the bench after that last drive. He said we have to keep our foot on the gas and have purpose with each and every play.
Well, Gordon comes from a outstanding family of quarterbacks, going back to his days at Terra Nova High School in Pacifica, California. Accurate pass here, right at the line to gain.
Yeah, Gordon is an accurate passer, but if you want to do a video on how to throw the football from a release standpoint, you put this guy front and center. I honestly have not seen many better releases. I don't exactly know what his NFL potential is, But that release belongs in the NFL, I guarantee you that.
There's Borghi into plus territory and a flag on the field after a gain of 10. Let's see if they bring this one back.
Holding. Offense number 8. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Made second down.
One of those wide receivers in this air raid offense. Easop Winston outside gets called for the hold, and this is Colorado's opportunity to get off the field. When you have someone in your territory, you're the point of attack. You can't be holding.
Costly penalty, the pump fake, and running wide open is Easop Winston. And how about that delivery?
I'm telling you, it's magical, and the footwork, the ball handling, the pump fake, and then to throw the ball accurately and on time. All of that is really next level stuff. I've heard the scouting report is Anthony Gordon may be a little too slight, 6'3", 210. I was 6'4", 212 when I got drafted, number 6 overall in the first round. Was I slight?
Well,
maybe the times have changed.
Well, they have a little, but certainly the frame is there for Gordon as Borghi picks up a couple of more yards for him to add on some good weight. Lauren Sisler, Kelly Stoffer, Roy Philpott here in Pullman, Washington.
And regardless of the rain, right now Anthony Gordon is spinning it well. So with Mike Leach, it's going to be business as usual, ball in the air when we want to.
Plenty of time, clean pocket, fires one, running open is Arconado for the easy touchdown. 44 yards. And the third scoring strike of the night for Anthony Gordon.
Arconado was matched up on Mikael Onu, a safety that comes down in the slot to cover a really good receiver. And that's a mismatch. We've seen it already today, but we knew because of the injuries and the attrition on the back end that Colorado was going to have a tough time matching up with 4, sometimes 5 really good wide receivers. Arconado on Onu is not a good matchup for Colorado.
Blake Mazza's season remains perfect.
Arconado is in the slot. He's going to continue across the field. He's going to set an Onu as if he's going to run an in route. Instead, he slices over the top. Onu was thinking in, the receiver went vertical. Just a little head fake, and then you see the quick release by the quarterback, and then you can't throw it any better than Anthony Gordon did to Arconado right there.
Well, Brandon Arconado has missed the last 2 games. Back and healthy, and Mike Leach said it this week, if we can get him back for this game, it's a huge deal for our offense because he plays in that slot position in the air raid, and it's vital for what they love to do. And even Anthony Gordon told us yesterday, if we can get Brandon back tonight, that's a weapon we've missed the last couple of ball games, and hey, they've lost those contests with him off the field.
Roy, we talked about Anthony Gordon throws the football in a way that you really can't teach. Watch the quickness. Watch the release clock. Bam! And then it's accurate on top of that. I mean, less than half a second from decision to ball out of hand. Where do I want to throw it? Right there, ball gone. 0.3, are you kidding me? And then I'll throw it quickly and drop it in the shirt pocket to Arconado. All of that is incredibly good stuff. Gordon is 26 out of 37, almost 300 yards and 3 touches.
And I want you to explain too why the quickness of the release is so critical, both in the air raid and potentially at the next level. As Fontenot is hit hard, he'll lose a yard.
Well, the quickness of the release, first of all, it doesn't expose the ball unduly to the defense. And then the defense knows when a quarterback's going to throw it. So once I decide when I'm going to throw it, the quicker I can get rid of it, the more advantage my receiver has when I throw it to him. And the less opportunity the ball is at risk in the air.
Brief running lane for Fontenot, a flag on the field back at the 20. Jahad Woods back on the field. That's a good sign for Coug fans. Let's check this penalty. A busy night.
Holding. Offense, number 56. Half the distance to the goal. Remains second down.
Matthew Richards leading our Pac-12 veteran officiating crew. That was Tim Lennon. That was called for the penalty, making his 40th straight start tonight. Second down and 21, and Montez has to be careful here.
And another inaccurate pass of the high variety. And that's an indication of something. And what the something is Steven Montez just isn't comfortable. And it shows in the feet of a quarterback. When a quarterback isn't getting his feet set, he's in a hurry on the ground, and you tend to airmail him. And Steven Montez has been doing that this evening.
Third down and 21. The safety valve, nowhere close. Fontenot needed to make about 5 different Cougar defenders miss, and he couldn't make Trey Davis miss as number 1.
And Steven Montez is just losing his cool. No doubt that Washington State's defensive front was in the grill of Montez, giving him some grief. And it was Rodgers that was doing it on that play, but Steven Montez needs to keep his cool.
Fair catch called for and made by Travell Harris. So the fundamentals, the 5th-year senior quarterback, starting to unravel somewhat. That was a 51-yard punt. And then Steven Montez getting a little chippy as well.
You're right, and that's the frustration. And Jay Johnson, the offensive coordinator at Colorado, told us that what he's been working on with Steven Montez, remember, it's Jay Johnson's first year with Montez. So start at the feet and work your way up. And he talked about him not having quiet feet. They weren't smooth. And you can see it. It's been inaccurate because of his feet, not because of his arm.
On first down, Gordon running the air raid out of the shotgun, flings it, incomplete, and down to Lawrence Sisler we go.
Guys, we've got a really frustrated Montez down here who's on the phone. The fans heckling him from the stands. He looked at them, made a little bit of a harsh comment to them. Certainly an unhappy quarterback right now and not handling things real well.
Yeah, if you want to play quarterback, it's a position of composure. You're essentially the face of not only the offense or a team, but in many ways the entire program. And Steven Montez has been completely buttoned up in that area most of his career, but we're seeing signs of something different this evening.
Max Borghi on the swing pass, shoved out by Davion Taylor. And a big night for number 21 in crimson and gray continues. It could be the final play of our third quarter. Touchdown for the Buffs. Nice response by the Cougs. 15 minutes of football remaining. Pac-12 After Dark rolls along. Cougs lead it by 21. "15 minutes of football left in this Pac-12 matchup, 31-10. Wazoo leading Colorado. Welcome back to Pullman. Cougs this year have actually held the lead on 5 different occasions entering the fourth quarter, just 3-2 in those contests. Buffs trying to rally on the road under first-year head coach Mel Tucker. And they've got some work to do, starting now on third down and short. Gordon, pressure. Bounced off one of his O-linemen and somehow runs for the first down near midfield. Mark Perry brought him down. That'll keep the drive alive.
Mark Perry was the blitzer that was free to the quarterback, and a good move by Anthony Gordon to climb in the pocket, avoid the pressure, and then know what your team needs to move the chains. All very well done by Anthony Gordon. We talked about the quick release. but he's a good decision maker, not only in the pass game through progressions, but also in the pocket at times. He makes some subtle moves that gets him out of trouble.
Play action, a dart that time into Colorado territory. Patman brings it in. We asked him about the release this week, and he said it really comes from playing baseball. He was a middle infielder growing up, playing as a shortstop. Much of his family played baseball. He had an uncle that was drafted playing Major League Baseball for a couple of seasons. He really credits that release, throwing the ball across the diamond.
Yeah, that transition from glove to throw, you certainly see that. It's lightning fast.
Borghi with a crease and another first down for the Cougs. And it's interesting too, because Kelly, really most of the country knows nothing about this quarterback.
I can't figure it out. He's leading the country in passing. His release is a thing to behold. I mean, I believe it. You can do it justice on television, but seeing it in person is really a treat to watch. And Mike Leach has had a bazillion quarterbacks in this air raid scheme and talks about the ability for Anthony Gordon to get through progressions efficiently and on time. What else is left?
And he said his release certainly quicker than Minshew or Falk. Here's Harris. He's got some speed to burn, brought down near the 25 by Mark Perry.
And the interesting thing is Anthony Gordon was close to winning the quarterback competition last year. Would we have even heard of the mustache if Gordon would have won that competition? Think about that one.
Down to Lauren.
Yeah, Mike Leach talks about the quarterback who wins the job as the one who can really elevate this football team. And some of that is exactly what you pointed out, Kelly, yesterday in practice with the quick release. It turns in, allows receivers to get that extra step, resulting in more yards after the catch. So that's number one. He's accurate, sees the field well, and can convert yards into points. He's also got a great leadership presence on this team.
Yeah, and so Lauren, based on the inventory you just went through, what else is left? And that's what I'm wondering, because this young man can get it all done. And the explosiveness is what Mike Leach wants.
Yeah.
And the quick release really added to the explosiveness in this team while that quarterback competition was playing out in the spring and well into camp. Probably a week before the first game until Mike Leach made a decision on that position.
Wide open, close to another touchdown. Wazoo will have it first and goal. Renard Bell with the grab, and that's a gain of 12. So a couple of receptions by number 9 in crimson and gray, and the Cougs in business, Kelly.
And Bell is the beneficiary of, once again, a quick release. Gordon starts to the left side, comes back to the right, but it's amazing he can go from one side of the field to the other and go there on time. That isn't by chance, and not everybody that plays that position can do that consistently.
Fade, Martin, touchdown, Washington State. Third of the season for Tay Martin.
Number 50 is now
Colorado
16.
on the back end in coverage. KJ Trujillo is on coverage, the true freshman. Trey Martin is a seasoned veteran. It's going to be a simple fade to the outside, set the defender, and then go to the corner, but it's the throw once again. The accuracy. Get a little separation and the ball's going to show up. It's hard to do that on air, let alone on a defense.
Cougs in business, extending their lead. Gallons of good old-fashioned ice cream. We had some during halftime, and we are here to tell you it's legit. And so is WSU tonight. Cougs pummeling Colorado on homecoming. Leading by 28 is Katie Nixon. Sent down at the 23. Busy night of college football. We send you back to the studio and Kevin Connors. Interesting development in Tuscaloosa as Steven Montez sensing backside pressure and didn't sense it fast enough. Brought down at the 20 by Jahad Woods. It's a loss of 4.
And really good coverage on the back end by Washington State, but then the pressure enveloped Steven Montez, and that's the frustration that Steven is feeling currently. Not a lot of separation on the back end.
Tony Brown jumps out of bounds, crossing the 20. It'll be 3rd down just like that.
Just like that. Pressure on 1st down, needing to throw because of the way this game has gone here in the 2nd half. The pressure gets to Montez, and then they need to hurry up, but there isn't a lot of separation with receivers on the back end for Colorado currently.
Buffs 5 of 12 on 3rd down. Montez, here it comes again. Somehow stays alive. Flings it looking for Nixon. Makes a grab, but it's out of bounds. It'll be 4th down for CU. Another 3-and-out forced by Wazoo, and an injured player as well on the field.
Montez can be really nifty in the pocket. Does a great job of avoiding pressure multiple times. Great awareness, going through his progressions. Then you start to feel the pressure. Escapes out the back door. Throws to K.D. Nixon. And I think Nixon, with better awareness of where he was on the field, had the opportunity to come down with that ball. But put yourself in Steven Montez's shoes here. A lot of pressure. He's been under pressure tonight. On the year, Colorado's offensive line has protected Montez quite well, but not on that play.
Monte McDougal, the injured Cougar. And he's able to get up under his own power and walk off the field. 10:41 to go here in Pullman. Cougs lead it by 28.
Anthony Gordon waited his turn behind some great quarterbacks at Washington State, Luke Falk and Gardner Minshew. Now he leads the nation in passing in what has been a rather late start to his football career. But you didn't even become a quarterback and start football till your freshman year in high school. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, I don't know. Just growing up throughout my childhood, I always thought that I was going to be a baseball player first and foremost. It's kind of all I really did was play baseball. And then my dad gave me the option around 7th grade if I wanted to play tournament baseball, if I wanted to participate in like Pop Warner football, and I declined football, said I'd play it during high school and just stay playing on the schoolyard and stuff like that. But I think the baseball background's kind of really helped me out throughout my career with being able to get the ball off my hand pretty quick.
Yeah, Kelly Stauffer pointed that out. So the quick release, does that come from the baseball background?
Yeah, definitely have to attribute that to baseball. You know, being like a middle infielder and stuff like that, getting the ball off my hand really fast, just kind of shaped my philosophy as a quarterback, getting the ball off quick.
Okay, so life after football, what does that look like?
You know, hopefully play football as long as I can. Then if not, it'd be awesome to be a firefighter in San Francisco or any big city around there. So it's something I've always kind of had an interest in, with family being police officers and firefighters, so I'd love to do that.
Not only can he spin it, but he also wants to give back. He's a man of the people, Anthony Gordon. If you don't know him,
Man of the people, right
you
there.
better recognize who this guy is.
People not know him. I mean, that's the amazing thing. I just don't get that.
You know, playing a lot of games late at night is part of it. First year as a starter. I think a lot of people assume coming out of the air raid a system quarterback, but the last 2 system quarterbacks are playing in the league right now.
Yeah, imagine that. Lincoln Riley put out a couple of really good ones here recently that happened to both win the Heisman Trophy, and I'm not putting Anthony Gordon in that category, but in terms of the skill set to play the position of quarterback, especially in Mike Leach's air raid offense, this guy is spectacular. And it's not just the physical skill set, it's the skill set of going through progressions and getting the ball out accurately and on time.
On 2nd down and long, how about the touch on that pass? That'll move the chains into plus territory. Aesop Winston reels it in.
Well, and this is the other part of it. You just talked about it, Roy. The touch on this to go over top of the underneath defender, but yet put enough spin on it to get there before the safety can get over the top. And that's, by the way, his 3rd look at that. And then it's perfectly thrown. That's a beautiful thing to watch.
That's a gain of 23. Flag on the field as Borghi plunges ahead.
Holding. Offense, number 65. 10-yard penalty. Remains first down.
You think about the recent Wazoo quarterbacks. Some of the production we've seen from Luke Falk, Gardner Minshew, two quarterbacks that Anthony Gordon was trying to fight for playing time. Their numbers impressive in college and also at the next level. Gardner Minshew doing great things with Jacksonville right now.
And Minshew wasn't there when Gordon was the backup for Falk, obviously, and then lost the job to Minshew the year after that.
Wisely throws that one out of bounds. Taylor applying the pressure again for Colorado.
And so what would Anthony Gordon's numbers look like having played, maybe this being his third year? I mean, that would be spectacular. And rest assured, I think they would be every bit as impressive of what we just saw on the board on those other two quarterbacks.
So we ask Mel Kiper what gives, because at some point Anthony Gordon has to start rising up draft boards. Maybe that starts tonight, maybe it's later this year in a bigger contest. But he's thrown 4 touchdown passes already this evening. Dangerous pass here, and it's going to be intercepted. And Darion Rakestraw sliding out of bounds. Brings it in, and the pressure applied by Nate Landman, so a rare mistake by Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, this was a greedy mistake is where this one came from, because you saw Trey Martin going vertical on the impromptu, my quarterback is outside the pocket type of adjustment, and just made a greedy mistake right there.
This is media time.
ESPN, home of the college football playoff.
Back in Pullman, Washington, Steven Montez's evening appears to be done. Colorado taking over after the interception at its own 25, and the new Colorado quarterback, Tyler Lytle. Father played safety at Hawaii as he checks in. His first pass low, incomplete, looking for Jalen Harris. And Lytle took a shot. That does not look good. Quete applied the pressure. He came in hot. Well, you hate to see that. Now Blake Stenstrom will get loose on the Colorado sideline. Redshirt freshman from Highlands Ranch, Colorado. We'll take another look.
Quete just comes essentially untouched off the top side, kind of into the face of Lytle. Up inside, somewhat of a stunt from that defensive in position. And then the big body falls on the quarterback.
So here's Stenstrom. Third teamer, play action, comes out gunning, and the pass is picked off. Marcus Strong read the quarterback's eyes from the get-go, and there it goes. Marcus Strong, it'll be first and goal. Third interception of the night for Colorado quarterbacks.
One of the areas that Washington State needed to get buttoned up was a secondary play. Marcus Strong does a great job. A receiver, Daniel Arias, comes inside, and then you just undercut the receiver. There's no reason for Strong to go over the top. Essentially get on the hip of the receiver and
after
then
the
cut
play.
underneath if the ball comes
Unsportsmanlike
to you.
conduct. Offense number 4, his first of the game. 15-yard penalty, first down, Washington State.
Marcus Strong just gets a little too excited, spins the football. You can't do anything with the football in this game of college football.
You
but-
just
all
spun
right.
it a little bit down there.
Give it up to the receiver. I mean, give it up to the official and get yourself out of harm's way, I guess.
Buffs struggling this
Oh,
week.
boy. Go ahead. Finish that up.
10
Not
points
a lot there other
tonight.
than
Yeah.
interceptions.
And the 3 last week in Eugene. Borghi still on the field, a hard hit at the 20.
If we talk about Max Borghi having good receiving skills, what's the ball skills on this? Anthony Gordon throws this a little high and hot out front, catch it one hand. I see a bigger role for Max Borghi going forward. Although he had 27 catches coming into today, so it isn't like Mike Leach didn't know he was playing.
On second down, Borghi from Colorado, one-time commitment to the Buffs, was recruited by Stanford, and as a result of his size, his playmaking ability as a receiver and as a running back, the comparisons have been put out there to Christian McCaffrey, and I think it makes a lot of sense. 5'10", 5'11", that same frame, the same build, same kind of quickness. And remember, Max Borghi's just a sophomore.
Yeah.
So his best ball still well ahead of him.
No question. And the skill set is somewhat identical. I mean, it's really interesting coming from essentially the same place and play the game the same way.
Pressure, Gordon releases, wide open, pass is incomplete. It was tapped by Trujillo there for a last-second PBU. Still almost got there.
Yeah, knocked away at the very end, and Max Borghi did a great job of pass protecting on that play. So you kind of have seen it all out of him, and he really reminds me of like the perfect running back for Mike Leach's air raid system. He can catch it well, he understands pass protection, and then he's an efficient runner when Mike Leach wants to run it.
Blake Mazza, 36-yard effort, perfect this season from the right hash this time. And Blake Mazza continues to kick at an all-conference level this season. Cougs pad their lead 41-10 halfway through the fourth. Now we take a look at tonight's best performer, brought to you by AT&T. Anthony Gordon, 4 touchdown strikes to 4 different receivers, Kelly.
And 4 different types of passes to those receivers. We've seen it all. We talked about the quick release and the accuracy, allows yards after catch by this menagerie of receivers at Washington State, drops it in the pocket right here. Every type of throw this young man has made, and as I've said before, multiple times actually, the quick release is a thing of beauty, and that's a spectacular night.
And the picture, I think, does his personality justice, because literally after every question I asked him yesterday, he would answer me and then follow it up with right on.
Right on.
So he's got this nice demeanor about him that's super chill.
What's that thing he wears on his head?
I call it do-rag.
Is that a do-rag?
That's what I call it.
Because do-rags don't have like holes on top. That's like an extra wide headband. And Gardner Minshew wore the same thing. Is that like a thing, or what's? I'm not sure what they call that.
I don't know if it's a thing. I just know that Anthony Gordon refuses to wear the same jorts that Gardner Minshew likes to wear down in Jacksonville and at other places.
Nor that mustache, really.
Correct.
The stash isn't there either.
Deion Smith, the running back for Colorado. Buffs down to their 3rd string signal caller, and Blake Stenstrom getting his first action of the season. And the handoff goes nowhere.
And putting Steven Montez to bed, I mean, it's not easy as a quarterback. His playmakers have been banged up. His running game has been inconsistent. This is kind of his last hurrah as a 5th-year senior. And so he kind of has, I believe, the last couple of weeks in particular, put extra pressure on itself. It's the first time that I've seen Steven do that recently in his career.
Press last week against Oregon, and that has carried over to this week. And he told us this week, too, I've had a great week of practice. Jay Johnson, the offensive coordinator, told us the same thing, as did Mel Tucker, as you see Blake Stenstrom.
And And the quarterback position is not an easy position to play anytime, but when those around you aren't playing particularly well, you feel like you have to do more. And at that position, when you do more, the production is less.
Third down. And the handoff will net 2 yards. Ron Stone belted the Colorado running back down. And you can't say enough about Wazoo's defensive effort tonight, and we highlighted the change in coordinators. Tracy Claeys turning in his resignation back on October 4th. And we spoke to Roc Bellantoni this week, and he had a lot to tell us. It's been an emotional sequence to watch Claeys resign. He takes over on an interim basis in a co-coordinator capacity. They've been through a lot. He simplified the scheme, and I tell you what, tonight it's working pretty well. Punt of 57 yards. Cougs will take over. Now tonight, coming up after Tennessee, Alabama, over on ESPN at SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt. He'll have reaction from that game, plus Kirk Herbstreit's biggest takeaways from Michigan, Penn State, plus highlights Yankees, Astros, Game 6, post-game analysis, and much more. SportsCenter, SVP, right after college football on ESPN, also the ESPN app.
And Roy, you were talking about Washington State's defense. Roc Bellantoni has been a defensive coordinator before, but he moved his family from Florida to work for Tracy Claeys, who was taken over for Alex Grinch here. And so when that went south and Tracy Claeys abruptly resigned, it was unsettling to say the least for Roc Bellantoni and his family.
Trey Tinsley, the new Wazoo quarterback, as Anthony Gordon's evening has come to a close. Father played quarterback at USC, and now he'll take over and mop up duty for homecoming. Third appearance for the redshirt senior from Cali. Mike Leach told us a couple of times, we got 3 quarterbacks that all could play and all could start. And Anthony Gordon basically said the same thing. We got guys in this room that can do some of the things that I do better. And we just kind of looked at each other like, what's going on up here at Pullman?
Tinsley was one of those guys. Yesterday at practice, there weren't any numbers. Everyone had their helmets on, and we hadn't seen these guys close up yet. And so the first guy I saw spin it was Tinsley, and I'm like, that's what I'm talking about right there. Well, it wasn't even Anthony Gordon yet. And we saw his release and said, oh my, that's in a different stratosphere right there. But Tinsley can sling it.
Under 5 to play. Cougs will pick up their first Pac-12 victory of the season. And that's certainly noteworthy as they try to get back the Pac-12 North race, or at least try to get to a bowl game and more meaningful bowl if possible.
And that's what Mike Leach really reiterated yesterday was, you know, offensively we're doing some really good things, no doubt about that. If we can get some traction defensively, especially stop giving up those explosive plays, we can make some hay. And that's really what we saw tonight.
False start. Offense. Number 4. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
And Roy, defensively for Washington State, it wasn't a mystery. Roc Bellantoni told us that it's about simplifying things and allowing his defenders to have their eyes right, and they will play faster. And that's what we've seen tonight. They've anticipated some throws from Steven Montez, took the ball away a few times, and lo and behold, had a really nice defensive outing.
That punt will take a Wazoo bounce. Ruled dead all the way down at the 18-yard line. Punt of 62 yards as we take a look at the updated Pac-12 standings. How about Oregon State sitting there at 2-2? Monster win against Cal earlier today, and Washington State now 1-3, 4-3 overall.
Yeah, it's still the ones at the top, Oregon and Utah, that I suspected would be there. You wonder if they're going to last. A lot to be settled in this conference along the way.
And then you think about a Pac-12 title game between those two. if the Utes and the Ducks can run the table to get to that point, a lot of ifs there, but if they do, Kelly, you have to think that game would have playoff implications
Good point,
of
yeah.
some kind. So the league is not out of it just yet, in spite of what the rest of the country would have you believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. And if those two teams, Oregon and Utah, do get to the championship game, it almost is like a new era in this conference to some extent, with defensive-minded coaches that want to run the football nonetheless, kind of setting the tone in both divisions.
Joe Davis, the carry. I'll move the chains with time winding down, approaching 4 to go. And we've seen it now the last 2 weeks across the country. Georgia losing at home to South Carolina a week ago. Wisconsin falls on the road at Illinois earlier today. We're seeing top 10 teams fall by the wayside week after week. If that trend continues, that opens the door for a school out of the Pac-12 to truly get back in the playoff hunt. And Oregon and Utah, you put them in a 4-team field, if that were to happen, tough outs.
Definitely tough outs. Teams that can run it, teams that have had quality quarterback play, and teams that will knock paint off your helmet defensively.
Tyler Huntley needs to stay healthy, as does Moss in Salt Lake City. That last pass caught by Jalen Jackson. Platts in the stop on that carry. Well, we've seen Mike Leach have to deal with the change. The defensive coordinator at the middle part of the season, back during his tenure at Texas Tech. And Red Raiders benefited as a result. We'll see if that happens this year here in Pullman. That defense was torched in that game against UCLA. Really changed the complexion of the first half of this season here on the Palouse. But now tonight, just 10 points allowed. A different vibe.
Definitely a different vibe. And there you see the 126 points allowed in 139 minutes. And if it wasn't for that meltdown, inexplicable meltdown against UCLA, you know, this is really a different looking year.
Pass in the flats too low.
And it, to me, Roy, isn't just the 10 points given up tonight by Washington State defensively. They had a rhyme or reason out there. You talked about it being a different vibe, talking to Rock Bellantoni, and that's what he was trying to do. It was back to simplifying things, and I'm like, hold on a second. Tracy Claeys was supposed to be the gatekeeper for what Alex Grinch put in place, which was all about simplifying the defensive side and playing what they called the speed defense. And he said along the way it became complicated. A tweak here, a tweak there, new faces here as we see the bobble punt.
Harris muffed it. You cannot return that.
That will be a fumble, but it won't be returned for a touchdown by Colorado. Kick catch interference is apparently
Kick catch
gonna know.
interference. Kicking team, number 32. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
No wonder the punt wasn't received cleanly.
He tried to tap dance around him at the last second. I mean, you got to give him a chance to cleanly catch it.
Yeah. The halo rule doesn't exist anymore. It's arm's length from shoulder to shoulder out in front of the potential receiver that you have to give that much room to, and apparently Colorado didn't do it there.
Well, the Cougs schedule moving forward does not really get a lot easier. Ducks coming up next, and Oregon, as we've been talking about, really starting to come on, and that'll be a road trip to Eugene next week for head coach Mike Leach. So that's tough.
Yeah, we saw that pirate ship that it's sailing into the face of that oncoming schedule, and there are storm clouds to one side and sunshine to the other, and this season really could go either way.
Now, certainly more confidence be gleaned after this victory. Travel over to Autzen Stadium. That's going to be a fun matchup, and a lot of people will be tuned into that one late next week. See if the Cougs can continue this. And you look at their losses this season. Tough loss at Utah. Had Arizona State beat late last week in Tempe, and UCLA on that miracle run after trailing by 32 in the second half. So 2 of the 3 losses, they've been extremely competitive.
Well, that's why Mike Leach just simply said you can't really lose your mind on where we are currently, because you know, if we finish against Arizona State and do anything against UCLA down the stretch, if those 2 games are in our column, this season is outstanding in everyone's mind. Well, they're a gnat's eyelash away from all of that.
A gnat's eyelash?
Very, very tiny.
I've been saving that one most of the year. Well, that's going to do it. Cougs that proved victorious on homecoming in a very big way. 41-10 the final score, the first Pac-12 victory of the season for Mike Leach. In year number 8 here in Pullman, the rain came down and the points came early for Wazoo. Colorado will fall to 3-4. It'll be the 3rd straight loss for the Buffs.
What?
Lauren Sisler has Mike Leach downstairs. Lauren.
All right, well, Coach Leach tells me it's the bird season. What do you mean by that, Coach?
It sounds like a shotgun blind right there. Anyway, so what do you got?
All right, well, first and foremost, you get your first win. You're back in the win column for the first time in 3 weeks from being on the other side. How did you see this football team really step up and reestablish its identity?
Well, we had really good practices. That's where it all starts. I thought we had really good practices, and I don't know, we just did simple stuff well rather than try to overcomplicate stuff and get in our own way.
We talk about the defense. You wanted to see more energy from them. We saw that last week. We saw more of that this week. 3 interceptions. What can you say about their performance tonight?
We're kind of emerging on defense, I think, you know, because I think we kind of reset, and it's still taking a while to get all the corners tucked in, but I think we are improving and elevating. You know, we'll get even better. I hope we're even better by next week. We should be.
Thanks so much, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Cougs win it 41-10. Nearly 500 yards of total offense. And Lauren now with Anthony Gordon.
Hey, we got Anthony here. A big win for you guys tonight. Back in the win column after 3 weeks of being on the other side of it. Just first and foremost, coming out here, getting a... Describe that for me.
Thank you. You know, it was a great game on all 3 sides of the ball: offense, defense, and special teams. Defense did an unbelievable job responding. You know, Coach Rock, Coach McBath doing a great job leading those boys. 3 takeaways. It's big time. Puts us in a great position to win any football game. Then, you know, special teams always doing great, and the offense got a few areas to improve on. But it was great to get back in the win column, and looking forward to a great game next week.
A lot of offensive production from you guys, 369 yards for you, 4 touchdowns. Despite this weather, it's cold, it's rainy, it's nasty. Your performance, grade that out for me.
You know, there are some ups and downs. That 1 interception, I'll lose a little sleep over for sure. Got to be smarter with the football, make sure that thing's in row G rather than the stadium. So other than that, you know, the elements, it's something that we're used to. We practiced in a lot during spring ball. We do a lot of workouts and this kind of stuff. So we were expecting this and we were ready for it.
Look, you're not one of those guys that always comes over to the bench screaming and yelling and getting your guys up with that energy, that leadership. Right. You said to your guys, keep your foot on the gas. Where did that come from tonight?
You know, it's kind of periodically as a team we've been emphasizing staying the course, never letting up. So just ensuring with all the guys that we're all on the same page, make sure we attack each play with a purpose and keep the foot on the gas, like I said.
All All right, when you keep your foot on the gas, where does this take your confidence, getting your first win in the Pac-12 and taking this to the next level?
It brings confidence up a little bit, but we got a few great opponents coming down the road, so we gotta watch the film, be happy about this one for a little bit, but we got to reset and go into Pac-12 playing Oregon next week.
All right, thanks so much, Anthony.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Another big night for Anthony Gordon, his fourth game of 350 yards plus 4 touchdowns, and Kelly Stouffer really beat Colorado in a number of different ways tonight. Patient, going through his progressions, making the right reads and all the right throws.
Yeah, Anthony Gordon simply played very well in almost every phase of the game. We talked about the decision making, his ability to not get stuck in progression but get through it on time, throw the ball accurately with a lightning quick release. One of the best you'll ever see of a quarterback throwing the football in every type of pass. Finesse passes, drive the football on slants accurately, throw the ball deep accurately, all of those things. Very impressive night for that young man.
No question about it. And taking pictures after the game, as you would expect. Mike Leach told us this week, Gardner Minshew elevated this team in terms of energy. I would argue that Anthony Gordon elevates this team just in terms of pure arm talent. Kelly Stouffer, Roy Philpott, and the best is yet to come when you look at his skill set. The schedule's more difficult, Kelly, but he's only going to get better the more reps he gets of live action.
Yeah, and what Mike Leach really likes, he told us this yesterday, and this is why I think Anthony Gordon won the quarterback competition. It's that quick release allows for extra explosiveness in the offense. And Mike Leach, we know from the past, he loves explosive offenses, and that's what you see out of this young man. So that's why he's on the field, and he can really do it all. What could he not do tonight? I mean, progression, decision-making, every throw, it was really impressive.
And he's got weapons to work with. Max Borghi, just a sophomore, a running back here for the Cougs, went over 100 yards on the ground, caught a touchdown pass, ran for another. You even liked how he handled himself in pass pro.
Yeah, he was a pass protector. We saw that a few times, but he can run the football. He's an efficient runner. He understands the pass game, not only how to get his body in position, but a good receiver of the football when it actually gets to him, and the quick feet inside the tackle box. The run game in Mike Leach's pure air raid offense is more about kind of the surprise element. And you have to be an efficient runner under those guidelines, and Max Borghi is that.
No question about it. We take a look at the Pac-12 standings. Washington State will pick up its first conference victory of the year tonight. And in the Pac-12 North, you got Oregon, you got Washington. The Ducks had a big win in Seattle earlier today. The Cougs now can look at positioning themselves perhaps for a better bowl game now at 4-3 overall.
Yeah, and I think the teams that we thought coming into this year would be the teams to beat. Utah is on top of the South, and Oregon is on top of the North. Washington is looking more like the team that we anticipated them being. Oregon had to come back and play well in the second half to win that game.
Well, for the Huskies, now 5-3 overall, 2-3 in the league. We mentioned it earlier. Oregon and Utah, all of a sudden, if those teams can run the table to get to the Pac-12 championship game, that becomes an intriguing matchup that could have playoff implications. So, to your point, the teams at the top of the standings right now playing outstanding defense and maybe transitioning this league into a little bit of a different feel than what we've seen in recent years. Well, don't forget, coming up as soon as we're done here, we've got a big matchup for you in the Mountain West. And Utah State quarterback Jordan Love on display against the Wolfpack of Nevada. Jordan Love, a dark horse to be a first-round draft pick at quarterback perhaps going into next season. Utah State kind of got off to a slow start this year. I like his throwing motion as well, and he's made a lot of good decisions in his career.
Yeah, Jordan Love is a playmaker. There isn't any doubt about it. And the arm talent, and he's been steadily climbing up Mel Kiper's board. And remember, he's the quarterback of Utah State, who a team named Boise State has to go on the road and meet that team late in the year that may have group of 5 implications, big time late in the year.
Well, there was some wild weather here in Pullman earlier today. Snow is on the ground already in Logan, Utah, so that should be a wild scene as Nevada and Utah State get set to get it on here in just about 60 seconds from now. Big win for the Cougs, 41-10 our final score. as Washington State finds a way at home on the Palouse here for homecoming. Big night for Anthony Gordon, also for Max Borghi. 41-10 the final for Kelly Stopper and Lauren Sisler. I'm Roy Philpott. We'll tell you so long and send you out to Logan, Utah as the Utah State Aggies get set to host the Nevada Wolfpack.